Hey guys, Jim Bounds with Co-op Motorworks and Motorhome Rehab Ranch on Patreon for all you ranch hands. Thank you. So today, kind of a cool day. I want to introduce you to Scarlett's Motorhome. Yes, that's the person with the camera. Hey Scarlett, say hi up and down there. Hi. But so Scarlett has her trans mode, and it's being currently stripped, and it's pretty exciting. You know, when you drink this punch, there's you'll have a hangover until you do something about it. Well, they call it the hair of the dog. You gotta you gotta get one of these. So thank you, Scarlett. I appreciate that. So let's move on. So in pulling her coach apart, I've got something to show you guys. And we're not going to talk about any of it, okay? We're going to talk today about, believe it or not, freshwater pumps. That's what it said on the title, and you would be disappointed if I didn't do this. So, and there is a lot to consider when you're installing, replacing a freshwater pump, okay? So, in the effort of telling you what kind of fish to catch and how to catch them, okay? Here's a little bit about what freshwater pumps. So freshwater pump, for you guys with GM floor plan, it's in the right rear corner. It's that thing that's humming that you think is annoying, and it comes on every time you turn that stupid yellow button on at the door, right? Freshwater pump. It's hooked to the freshwater tank. It's sitting right next to it under the window there. Whatever's above it, who knows. Mine's a bed. But it's a freshwater pump, and the way the whole coach is plumbed from 73 on, whether you had copper pipes in 73 or plastic pipes or whatever, generally speaking, well, for a GM floor plan, that's where your water pump is. On you transmode guys, well, I'd say follow the buzz, follow the noise that happens when you push the button. Or you probably know where it is, right? So you say, well, what's so big deal about a water pump? Well, you just go down and buy one. You go there and there's like 15 of them. You go, oh crap, which one do I need to buy? Well, first of all, water pumps come basically in three, if you want to say CFMs, or three pressures. Low pressure one, she'll probably be the cheapest one. A medium pressure, I think what, 2.4 or whatever it is. And then you have a high pressure pump. Now the high pressure pump is for large, you know, plumbed systems where you've got several outlets and all that. That middle range is the type of pump you want, okay? Now, you say, well, what was in there before? What am I gonna, you know, what am I gonna replace it with? Okay, this is what you had before, and this was Scarlett's. I say was, it could still be one. This is a PAR, original PAR diaphragm pump. Looks kind of like something off Dr. Doolittle, right? Or you know, out of a World War II airplane or something, because it's a very simple device. Got a pump with a belt on it, like your original air compressor. Goes over here to this huge crankshaft. Look at this thing. Big old crankshaft. Here we go. You can see it going up and down, going down to a piston with a diaphragm on it. And it sits there, and the word I've always used is flatulates. It just sits there and goes all day long. It could be dry, it could be wet, it could, if the diaphragm would handle it, it could pump diesel, you know, it'd pump anything. It's a pump. And they're very reliable. Okay, negatives. No, you can still buy these. Yeah, you can still buy this. And parts for it if you want to get down to that, but you know, time, let's move on. This you can see how much current it pulls by the size of the wires. Let's see, yeah, 6 amp nominal. You know, 6.5 amp at 3 PG. So that's pretty, 6 amps, that's a lot, you know. Newer pumps, the reason there's so much current is this belt, okay? By putting a belt on here, you always have an energy loss, okay? So the new theory is a direct drive pump, okay? Just like your compressor. You went from a belt drive V-twin to a direct drive single cylinder. That thing sounds like a bucket of bees. Well, that's what happens here. This thing you could actually quieten this down where you would just feel it. You'd feel the RPM vibrating through the coach just barely. I mean, these are so quiet. The new ones, they're going to be noisier. You're going to hear them. You can insulate them and all that stuff, but they're a little bit noisier. But they pull like 1/3 of the current. That's the big deal. Now, new ones. It's a motor with a casing on it. And the casing will either be a round casing or a flat casing, okay? The SureFlow Evolution series, 12 volt, 2.4, 2.6 pump is what we use. And the reason we use the Evolution is that it's a diaphragm pump. Remember I told you that the belt-driven pump can sit there all day, it can pump whatever it is, because it's a diaphragm pump. It can pump dry, okay? So the new pump is a diaphragm direct drive pump. Cool, huh? Now before that, if you look down at yours and you turn it on, kind of noisy, it's not a direct drive, it's an impeller driven pump, like your macerator. And if it runs too long, it will burn out or melt the impeller, okay? So when they went from the high current, they went to a low current impeller driven pump. And then they were replacing pumps a lot because somebody'd run out of water and the thing would sit there, run for 5 minutes, burn the pump up, and there we go. So now the new thing is a diaphragm type direct drive pump. And SureFlow's not the only one, it's the most popular one. It's the one I can remember. But so any of the pumps will work. The pump consists of, hang on a second, let me pull this baby back up. Oh, another thing that's got a little weight to it. All pumps consist of a motor, some sort of a pump, a regulator. The regulator tells it when to shut off at whatever PSI. Right? It's got a regulator in it, right here, right? In and out. And this one, the way it's made, it has a small well in here that is pumping. There's a check valve in there. So all the pumps have that, right? It's all built in, check valves built in, all that stuff's built into the new pumps. So you don't have to replace it. This one, I can point them out because it's World War II B-52 pump, which is not a bad thing, right? So another question on pumps, do they freeze up? Well, yeah, they do. And when a pump freezes up, now a diaphragm pump is not as bad on freezing because it has a tolerance to some extent. But you don't want to have water in your system that is going to freeze. You know the best way to not have your system ever freeze? Okay, this is important. Drive it down to Florida so you don't have to do all that stuff. You know, find some dummy that'll let you park it down here for 6 months or a year or something like that and just leave it here. You don't have to winterize. But of course that's impossible, unrealistic. So there are volumes written about how to winterize your vehicle. My personal bias suggestion is pick one and do it. If I lived up north, I would make sure that my system had drains and I could absolutely know that I could drain out everything that had water in it, because water freezes, you know, fact of nature, you can't beat Mother Nature. So I just get all the water out of it somehow, all right? So the pumps, you need to have a switch with a light on it of some sort, and our GM floor plan has the little orange switch on it. Your coach would have a switch of some sort, and if you're building a coach, you need to have that thing pulls 6 amps, so you want to have at least a 10 or a 15 amp fuse. And a new one, I would put a 10 amp fuse. All right, well look, I hope that helps you on selecting your pump. Now you can take your pump fishing rod, go out there and snag a good pump, right? So really we've been talking about it, and that's what this series is kind of about. I want to show you how, I want to get you into the industry of each of the things you're talking about and let you look around a little bit from the other side and make conscious decisions on your own. I mean, I think that's the thing that you guys want the most. All right, well look, thank you for participating. Thank you for your time first. Thank you for being a ranch hand, the ones that are, and if you're out there roaming out in the prairie and looking for a home, well, it's here. We talk about GMC Motorhomes, and if you're interested to talk about it, well then what the heck, come on over. All right guys, got a couple more things about appliances we're going to talk about. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.